turn. It's early morning. I'm just trying to take care of my temple. But I woke up this morning and I was feeling kind of heavy, so I was like, all right, Lord. And I couldn't immediately identify why. I didn't go to sleep with any heaviness or, and it was the top of the morning, so I didn't have time to pick up any type of offense or baggage, but I just felt something on me, so I sat with it and I was like, okay, Lord, what is this? I know that I have been more active on social media when I was definitely trying to take a break from TikTok, so I was like, maybe that was a gate that I left open, and maybe I'm just overwhelmed by just the influx of that exposure or whatever. But I don't know, I was just led to get into my Bible, so I was like, all right, Holy Spirit, we're going to the Bible. What am I reading? Where are we going? And so I think it was for my birthday last year. My husband gifted me this 10 of devotional cards for women. And it's like 365 days worth of cards of devotion. So I went to the 10 and I pulled a card and I read over it, went through the devotion. And the devotion was around 1 John chapter 5. And it only covered like verse 4 or something like that. So I was like, okay, let me get my big Bible. So I started off on my Bible app and then I got my physical Bible. And I was like, let me explore 1 John chapter 5 in its entirety. And so what I found was John was so passionate, so for real about teaching and spreading the gospel of Jesus. And he was a great teacher, if he taught it the way that it was written. And some people will look at it and say, why is this chapter so redundant? Why does he keep saying or referencing the same things over and over? And for me, that just speaks to how 10 toes down he was about it, talking about Jesus and spreading the gospel and the salvation through Jesus Christ. And so I thought it was really noteworthy how well he articulated and illustrated, his points. I feel like he was someone that could teach to scholars and philosophers, but he could also break everything down to layman's terms for village people or for people who really just didn't have the higher intellect to understand literature in a way. So great teacher, but okay, digging a little bit deeper past that, it was the message of faith. And I feel like I was in Hebrews chapter 11 the other week, and a friend of mine and I were discussing it as far as, just like faith and how impactful Hebrews chapter 11 is in driving the points of the importance of faith home. And, without faith, it's impossible to please God. And so I was just, while I was going through 1 John chapter 5 today, I was just, reminded and referenced back to Hebrews 11 and tying this whole faith thing together. And honestly, as Christians, we say, we believe in God and we believe in the death and the resurrection of Jesus Christ. But faith, that is the ground, the anchor, the center of our faith, right? But the faith that we have to put into practice every day is standing on the same strength and solitude that we have in the death and burial and resurrection of Jesus Christ, in the power and what the Lord and the Holy Spirit and what Jesus can do and manifest for us today. It's like going back to how firmly John stood on it when he was teaching faith. He taught it as if his life, as if our lives depended on it. We still have to take that same attitude, that same passion, and the faith for the things that we stand and hope and believe for today. Because after all, I think it is 1 John chapter 5 that says whatever we ask, we have to ask boldly, as if we know that we'll receive it. And again, that gets misconstrued too, because we need to be asking things that are in the will of the Father, but that comes to time. How do we submit and seek and ask things that are in the will of the Father? By first giving up our own will, giving up our own expectations, giving up our own understanding, leaning not into your own understanding. So I felt like that was good. Thank you, Holy Spirit. When I woke up this morning, I didn't know what we were getting into today. What we were getting into today. I didn't know where he would lead me in that way. And now that I have this information, now that it's at the top of my mind, I'm excited to see how he's going to use me with the information that I have to bless somebody else or, bless the kingdom. So that's what I got for today. I'm still walking though. I'll see y'all at the end.